Iruzecha Aranen lavoker chastecha Ki hayita miskavli umanos biyom tzarli.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's good to see your faces, to feel your presence here with us tonight on the final Shabbat of the month of Elul, our final Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah. For those of you who are joining us here on Zoom, we want to remind you that the link to our prayer book is in the chat. If you're with us on Facebook, there is a link to the Siddur in the comments. And if you're watching on the big screen on the live stream from our website or another device, there's a way to click the link right below to access that prayer book there. So we're glad to be here with you. We want to remind you of a few Zoom rules, which is that, of course, if you can see us, we can see you, and we love to see your faces. Keep in mind that when you stand or you leave your space, we can still see what the camera sees, and just keep that in mind. And if you need to leave our prayer space for just a few moments, feel free to turn your camera off until you're able to join and be with us and fully present again. Of course, we're using this special Siddur for the month of Elul. It's different than our regular prayer book, and if you've clicked the link, it's the fourth book down. So just want to remind you of that extra information. And we're going to begin on page 6 with a special Elul reading before we welcome Shabbat with song. Before we slip too quickly into the season of the soul, let there be a Sabbath of Sabbaths for the heart. Before the music of creation's majesty, let there be a silent praise of existence. Before the feast of sanctified words, let there be a poetry of solitude. Before we enter the palaces of prayer, let us find within ourselves a place of calm. Before we revel in the wondrous and sublime, let there be an honest inward gaze. Before the rites and ceremonies of awe, let there be quieter days, an island of attentiveness. Setting our intentions for this Shabbat, making ready still for Rosh Hashanah, for the new year soon to come, we turn to page 2, back to page 2, as we sing Yeri Nefesh together.
Yedi nefesh avarachanan, Yedi nefesh avarachanan, Meshochatecha, Eretzonecha, Meshochatecha, Yalalala.
It is an extra special Shabbat because we have a wonderful bar mitzvah to celebrate with us, Joshua Roomberg. And so I'm going to invite him, along with his mother, Susan, to lead us as we kindle the lights of Shabbat. We turn to page 11 as Susan leads us in the opening prayer.
In the beginning, emptiness and chaos, a great darkness over the deep. The Spirit of God moved over the waters. Explosion of light, the long chain of emerging life. Behold, it was very good. These candles evoke the very first light. Out of the darkness came reason, purpose, consciousness of beauty, power to discern and do what is right. Let us hold the light in our hearts. Let us bring it with us in the darkest corner of creations, where there is pain and fear. Let us offer the light of love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu nahat likner shel Shabbat. We continue the Kiddush on page 12. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabav kodesho v'ahavat ratzon hinhilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reishi v'yom tehila l'mikraye kodesh zeher litziat mitzrayim v'anu v'harta v'tanu kedasha mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kadeshacha Ahava uratzon in haltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat.
L'chaim. We continue now on page 14 as we continue to welcome Shabbat with song from our Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat, Shir Chadash.
Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai shir chadash. Shiru Adonai kol
We turn now to page 22 as we make ready to welcome the Sabbath bride and sing L'cha Dodi. When we reach our last verse, Bo'iva Shalom, I invite all of you who are able to stand up and picture yourself here in the Wolf Sanctuary with me. As Rabbi Yergin likes to say, even though you're on mute, otherwise it would be chaos, sing so that you're muted. Maybe you should unmute yourself sign turns on. Then we know, or you know, that you are singing with full heart and full spirit. I'm planning on my mute warning coming up. I hope you do too. So join us in a joyful celebration of Shabbat. L'cha Dodi.
L'cha dodi li kakala yalalai 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 leShabbat nekabela. L'cha dodi li kakala yalalai 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 leShabbat nekabela. Shamor nezachor v'dibur echad.
We invite you, if you're able, to turn on your camera for just a few moments so we can all see each other's faces and wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. You can unmute yourself as well.
Shabbat Shalom.
You all.
Shabbat Shalom. Hello, everybody. Glad to see everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So wonderful to see you all.
So wonderful.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Here we go.
Okay. We are now going to turn to page 24 for the Chatzi Kaddish, and you can remain standing through the Shema.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבנים, יעמד יברכת ויניחמך בחייכון וביומכון ובחייך בית ישראל. Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Leolam Olam Amaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach Vishtabach, Yitbar V'Jomam V'Yitnaseh, V'Yitadar, V'Yitaleh, V'Yitalal Shemei Kurusha B'Richu, Leila Min Kol Birchata, V'Shirata, Tushbechata V'Nechemata, Damiran Be'ama, V'Meru, Amen.
I'm going to invite our bar mitzvah, Joshua Alexander Roomberg, to lead us in the next portion of our worship service. Baruch Hu, page 26.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. We continue on page 28. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro mariv arvim. Baruch atah Adonai hamariv arvim. We continue on page 30. Love beholds all space and time. Your love enfolds your people Israel. We receive it in your teaching. Your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and when we rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the essence of our life, are to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose your May we never be unworthy of your love. We continue on page 32. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. We continue together on page 34. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher nahim mitzavecha chayim olevavecha v'shinavtam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shiftecha v'vetecha v'vlektecha b'derek v'shokbecha v'vkumecha v'kshartam leot al yerdecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha v'vtavtam al mezuzot beitecha v'visharecha Leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'rikem kedoshim v'lelehem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeititem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lahem lelolim ani Adonai Elohechem emet.
Emet. On the bottom of page 41, we read together as we prepare to sing Micha Mocha on page 40. We went forth, behind us now the speech of strangers, ahead the freedom to speak our own words and discover the holy. Witnessing this, the great sea fled, the river changed its course, the mountains danced like rams, the hills like sheep. Sea, river, and mountains, what have become of you? Why flee, change course? Why dance like rams and sheep? Stand in awe, all the earth. The God of Jacob turns rock to water, stone to a gushing stream. Life changes course in an instant. Sing from the heart, awaken to life's wonders. On page 42, we read together. Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. With power sublime, spread over us your shelter of shalom, and through your wisdom restores us, makes us whole. Let your name proclaim your presence in our lives. Be our shield, make us stronger than the enemies we face, illness and war, famine and sorrow, and stronger than the enemies in our hearts, wickedness and sin. Carry us to safety as on wings, for you are the monarch of grace, the sovereign of compassion. You are the one who cares for us and sets us free. Watch over us, we who go forth in life. Watch over us that we may come home in peace, now until the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, va'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed one, you spread over us a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom over all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem. Page 46, Vishamru.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, lidorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, lidorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, lidorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael
We continue with the Amidah on page 48, and if you are able, I invite you to please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, Elokei Sarah, Elokei Rivka, Elokei Rachel v'Elokei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, Eloyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בך יום יהללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
May be seated. We continue on page 61 at the bottom, and I'm taking advantage of our blue pages in Mishkan Halev, which give us different readings and different interpretations of prayers than we typically have the opportunity to see. God breathed into us a living soul, the gifts of respiration, inspiration, aspiration. May we sanctify this day by breathing deeply, attentive to all gifts. We taste the sweetness of the world that could be. As we take a deep breath before we turn to page 63. A kavanah from the Psalms for Elul. Bring joy to my life of service when I turn to you for purpose and hope. God, teach me your path. Your truth will guide my steps. Point my heart toward awe. Your name, the of my devotion. We continue together in our prayer for peace on page 70. Peace, profound and lasting, all-embracing. Peace, let this be your gift to Israel, your people. In your goodness, author of peace, bless us and all people, every season, every hour, with the peace that is yours to give. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. You, Adonai, are the blessed one who blesses us with peace. We continue now with Misha Berach. And as we think of those who face the future not fully whole, those who are in need of healing of mind, of body, and of spirit, Misha Berach could be found on page 70. And we think of those whose names are on our screen and those who are in our hearts. And we can say those names out loud now to include them in our prayers. Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Kor HaBracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imoteinu Mikor HaBracha Lavoteinu. The souls in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Please take a moment now for your own silent prayers. Oseh shalom b'imromav, Oyaseh shalom, Oyaseh shalom aleinu, Yaseh shalom aleinu, Oseh shalom b'imromav, Oyaseh shalom, Oyaseh shalom aleinu, Yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'akol, ve'akol, ve'akol Israel. Yoshvei Tevet. B'yimeru amen, b'yimeru amen. We ask for peace on earth, and we say amen. B'yimeru amen, b'yimeru amen. We raise our voice as one, and we say amen.
The new school year has started for our children. And whether you have kids in pre-K, elementary school, middle or high school, or just remember those days, it's not hard to conjure up the feelings of excitement and expectation mixed in with confusion and dread that make the opening weeks of school so unique. Of course, with many of our students still learning virtually on Chromebooks, tablets, and laptops, there are numerous additional challenges to add to the mix. But for those of us who have now experienced our first online back-to-school nights in the past few weeks, we've all been privy to the speeches and PowerPoints that are equal part enthusiastic subject presentations and stern, sobering enumerations of expectations in terms of behavior, deportment, and intellectual achievement. It's not dissimilar to this week's double Torah portion, Nitzavim Vayelach. Nitzavim is a continuation of Moses' farewell to the people. He reminds them that they are all included in the covenant and therefore all responsible to uphold it. In Vayelech, Moses tells the Israelites that he will not go into the promised land. He appoints Joshua as their new leader. God also tells Moses and Joshua that there will be times in the future when the people will make bad choices and follow idolatrous ways, but that they will not lose the capacity to return to their covenant with God. In school terms, I read this as, I know I am your new teacher and you are not sure what is in store, but you are all in this class for a reason and you can do it. But if you break the rules, there will be serious consequences. Still, I believe in you. Make the right choice. And it's these very same ideas that make Nitzavim Vayelech the perfect prelude to the High Holy Days, now just 1 week away. In chapter 30 of Deuteronomy, Moses famously implores the people to choose life rather than death. As he says in verse 19, I have placed before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life if you and your offspring would live. This powerful imagery catapults us forward right to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, playing on our always keen desire to be written into the book of life for the year to come. But because we all know that our power to choose life in the physical sense is limited at best, it is quite clear that what God wants from us is more than a passive physical existence. As Rabbi Pinchas Peli reminds us, being alive means growing, developing, responding. To be dead, even if biologically alive, means to fossilize, to become lifeless. These ideas of growth, renewal, and return are, of course, powerful themes of the High Holy Days, but they are also a poignant reminder to us as we get ready to experience our first ever, and hopefully one and only, Rosh Hashanah broadcast into your homes through our live stream, that our current existence is not one that any of us would choose, but it's up to each of us to find ways that we can choose life nonetheless. It's the same for our students at school. The vast majority would prefer to be back in their classrooms in the typical way. They want to see their friends, participate in their activities, do their thing. They want to be given the opportunity to make choices from a better selection than we have available to them right now. But we're giving them the best we've got. So with our support, they are choosing life, choosing to learn, choosing to the best of their ability to cope with our current reality. Today, of course, is September 11th, a historic day of tragedy in our country. So many of us remember exactly where we were when we found out that the Twin Towers in New York and the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. had been hit by airplanes, and that another plane had gone down in Stony Creek Township in Pennsylvania. It was a coordinated attack of intense evil that not only killed almost 3,000 people, but completely altered our communal psyche and the way our world operates to this day. I remember the High Holy Days that followed, living in New York, when Lower Manhattan was closed, the city was reeling, when everyone knew someone who had been personally affected. And there was not a soul who wasn't on high alert. Coming together, being together, soothed our souls and lifted our spirits. And we talked about choosing life and blessing, though we had experienced a horrible curse. And slowly, New York, Washington, our entire country found its way to discover new ways to embrace life once again. In our Torah portion, blessings and curses are directly connected to the commandments. Follow God's mitzvot and your life will be filled with blessing. Ignore or go against God's mitzvot and curses will abound. But for us, at least right now, The greatest challenge is to continue to choose life, even when curses seem to be heaped upon us daily. It can feel pretty overwhelming sometimes, believe me, I know, but there is still space to share joy and compassion and love with each other. We may need to more actively make those choices right now, but when we make them, they are all that much sweeter. We know that we cannot choose the life we are given, only what we make of it. That is the lesson we take with us as we prepare for the days of awe, starting with Slichot tomorrow at 9 p.m. So as we celebrate Shabbat, the last one of 5780, let us take time to think about the ways we will choose life in the year ahead, fulfilling God's commandments, but also making intentional choices to focus on giving and receiving blessing today and every day. Amen.
Amen. We continue with Aleinu on page 78, and if you are able, I invite you to please rise.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. As we move to our memorial meditation, we note with sadness the death of Betty Health, mother of Dundee Murray and Melissa Cross, grandmother of Luke Jeffrey, sister-in-law of Sally Health, and many generations of nieces and nephews. We also remember this Shabbat those nearly 3,000 people whose lives were lost in September 11, 2001 attacks. We read a memorial meditation found in our Shabbat prayer book by Rabbi Peter Noble. Remember our people who suffered and died so that we could be free and secure. May their memory be more than a distant shadow. For their dreams left unfulfilled and lives taken too soon, we remember. Remember our brothers and sisters whose sacrifice kept the dream of democracy and justice alive. May their courage, inspiration, and strength. For life cut short and vision unrealized, we remember. Remember the fallen of our armed services, the victims of terror and tragedy. May the darkness of their loss not obscure the light of peace. They were in love with our land and in love with life. For the agony, the tears, the mothers and the fathers, for the children who were, and for the children yet to be, we remember. Our thoughts turn to those in our community who have died at this time in years past. As we mark their yard sites, we remember them. Keith A. Ashworth, Diane Markson Bame, Isabel Benson, Jennifer Ann Berkman, Beatrice B.D. Burler, Morris Abraham Burns, I. Bob Blumenthal, Betty Cohen, Brooke Greenwald Cohen, Sam Cohen, Joan Ellen Epstein, Louis Forchon, Sylvia Z. Foy, Miguel Rojas Garza, Robert Gernsbacher, Eli Golden, Ike Goodman, Aaron Green, Andrew Gerwitz, Marie Hart, Mary Hines, Ernest Honig, Herman Hoffman, Rosanna Hormache, Rupert C. Jackson, Ben David Cantor, Gerald Kaplan, Joseph Keogh, Meyer Korner, Viola N. Coons, Thelma Lasser, Nathalie G. Leon, Eve Levis, Rose Levy, Elliot Latofsky, Marjorie W. Margolin, Gertrude Marks, David Newworth, Sylvan Nordhaus, Leah Ray Olive, Millie Orion, Paul Pearlstone, Beauregard Benjamin Pollock, Edith Raffel, Edith Glass, Eugene Rosenstein, Harry Saul Mo Ruddleston, Julius Segor, Jerome Saltzman, Mark Schwartzman, Glenn Seidenfeld, Ross Stewart Sealine, Edward Simon, Ronald A. Simon, Eric Stein, Joseph Stilusky, Libby Stuhl, Dolly Sumberg, Orlando Temple, Alex R. Thomas, Gloria, Nathan Trodlier, Minette Erbach, Simon Werbner, Thomas William, and Sam Winter. To these names, we add those who died in the past month, whose families are in a mourning period of Shloshim. We remember Ruth Susser Shapira, Kalman Lowe, Alan Richard Kahn, Beatrice B. M. Chappa, Laura Richmond, and Michael Stern. We also think of those who died this past week, whose families are in a mourning period of Shiva. We remember Rose Dreisison, mother of Trudy Shea Petty and Marilyn and Aaron Kaufman. John Roach, son of Steve and Mickey Gross and Sherry Gross. Marlene Gloria Cardin, mother of Alan Cardin and mother-in-law of Kathy Cardin. Grandmother of Kristen and Patrick Sharp, Ryan and Vicky Leonhardt, Jordan Leonhardt, Alana Cardin, Rachel Cardin and Greg Harris, and Eli Cardin. Great-grandmother of many. With all of these names and those which are in our hearts each and every day, we join together in Kaddish Yatom, rising as one community together. Page 86. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba, be'alma dibrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon v'yomechon u'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, b'agala u'vizman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'elam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha b'richu, La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Yosei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say, amen.
Amen.
Go ahead.
As we have been doing every Shabbat for the month of Elul, we have been listening to the beautiful sounds of the shofar. Tonight we are blessed with Dr. Jay Rubin, one of our wonderful shofar sounders, who is here with us tonight. So we're going to share in our little ceremony that begins on page 89. And then we will get to hear the sound of the shofar. Please be seated if you're not sitting already. I have a feeling that's what Rabbi Yergin was going to tell you when I cut her off. So thank you, Rabbi Yergin. On page 89, the shofar is sounded from the first day of Elul until the eve of Rosh Hashanah to signal the approaching days of awe. The sound of the shofar implores us to engage in cheshbon hanefesh, an accounting of the soul. Amid shouts of joy to the sounds of shofar, the Holy One ascends.
We continue on page 90 with the fourth kavanah, a focusing meditation for the sounding of the shofar for our fourth week of Elul. The shofar sounds and I am awake. Shaken out of the days of sleep, I see the truth. The day of judgment approaches. Soon we will stand before the one who can't be flattered or fooled. Soon we will stand in the courtroom of conscience. Soon we will know the joy of beginning again.
Page 91, we share in the blessing for hearing the sound of the shofar. Baruch atah Adonai shamea teruah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who hears the sounding of the shofar. Tekiah. Shivarim teruah. Tekiah. Beautiful. Yesher koach. Thank you. We now continue with our closing song on page 92, Olam Chesed.
Olam chesed yibaneh, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai. 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 I will build this world from love, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai. And you must build this world from love, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai. And if we build this world from love, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai, then God will build this world from love, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lalai.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We invite you to turn on your camera and unmute yourselves, and we can all wish each other a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom,
everyone.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
I want to remind everyone.
Shabbat shalom. Shalom.
I'm going to make a little announcement here. I know it's not working. Okay. Hi. So on tomorrow night, Slichot, 9 p.m., we hope you'll join us back on live stream, not on Zoom, on live stream only. And Sunday from 9 to 12, we have a Rosh Hashanah caravan. So come on over to Temple. 9:30. Well, I'll be here at 9, but don't come till 9:30. Or you can share my coffee with me. But we're going to have a 9:30 to 12 caravan. Come in your car. You can hear the shofar live, not through Zoom. You can hear your lovely clergy, who I know you miss so much, and we will wish you a Shana Tova in person. You can borrow High Holiday Machzorim prayer books if you want to have the physical books in hand and you haven't yet purchased them online or downloaded the Kindle version. We have yard signs, Rosh Hashanah, bringing the dome home yard signs that you can purchase. What else do we have, Rabbi Yergin? There's so many other things.
Our 1 to 8-year-olds, if you ordered a High Holiday box, you can pick that up if you requested one. And then if you're in religious school, you'll also pick up your religious school materials. So a lot going on. And there's a food drive. Thanks, Riley. And if you would like to bring food, instead of just doing donations, this is really the only time that we'll be accepting actual food donations, not just monetary. You can bring your food by and our teams will be helping get that out of your trunks and onto our tables. So lots going on.
So thank you, Jay, for sounding shofar. Mazel tov to Joshua Roomberg and the Roomberg family. We are so excited to continue to celebrate Shabbat with you tomorrow morning, 10:30. Here, different link, everyone, but still right here on Zoom and also on our live stream. So I think that's it. I didn't mean to ruin the party, but I forgot to we don't usually make announcements anymore, but at least in this world, but those were some important things we wanted you to know. Of course, next Friday night, we'll see you, you'll see us, and we'll know you're there as we celebrate Rosh Hashanah in the many, many different ways that you can access our services through all the various links. So we're really looking forward to sharing that with all of you.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.